Well, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about line conventions. What are line conventions? Lines of varying styles and thicknesses are used in specific ways to develop and communicate graphic messages about an object's geometry. The next few slides show some basic line conventions and their use. Construction line, a very lightly drawn lines to guide drawing other lines and shapes. The things that are construction lines here are, like here is the guideline. All right, it's very faintly, you can just barely see it, but it's used to help draw other lines. Over here is a guideline. Down here, you may not even see it originally here, but down here is a guideline. Right, just so you can see it, I'll erase it. But there was a guideline there that was helping them form this shape, that figure. The next one here is an object line. I think it's pretty obvious that the object line is right here along the edge. Typically with an object line, what you'll want to do once you get done is you want to make it nice and bold and black, as you can see here. When you're done, an object line is something that should be very bold, very black, and it's going to be along the edge. It defines the object. Hidden line. All right, hidden lines are important. Hidden lines help us find or convey information to our viewer of things that you cannot see but are still there. For example, the front of this, if I were to draw the front of this as you would see it, it would look like this approximately. What they're telling us is that right here, are holes back there, but you can't see it. This is what this piece would look like. So by drawing these dashed lines here, or these dashed lines right here, sorry, these dashed lines over here, what they're telling us then is that there's a hole inside of it in that area that you can't see. And that's important to convey to the person who's looking at it. Center line, all right? They've gone about then telling us that right here is a center line. It's the center of the hole. Sorry about that. Don't know exactly why that happened, but next thing is a section line. Okay, again, remember I told you that this, if you were looking at it, this is what you would see. And of course, my picture here is really sloppy. But what they've done here now is they've gone through here and cut, all right, by showing these section lines, where these section lines are. Basically, imagine going through here and cutting a section of this way. Let me turn this thing sideways so you can see it look like. If we turn this thing sideways, well, we're not doing very well here with that, so we're going to skip that part right here. They've cut this away so you can see these figures a lot better. Short line break, all right? All they're doing here is trying to tell you where the line has been broken, where they did the cut, all right? It's freehand, it's zigzag, that's all they're doing here with this short line break. Dimension line, all right? Dimension line. Down here they're adding dimensions. They're adding these dimensions, showing you that it's not the dimension, it's the dimension line. Notice that a dimension line finishes and begins and finishes with an arrow on both ends. All right. Notice that there's some other lines they're giving us here. I'm just going to point a few other lines out again here. Down the middle here, they've got a center line. This line right here, this black, thick, black, bold line is an object line. These are object lines. And then these right here, these lines here, more examples of section lines. Okay, out here to the right hand side, these are extension lines. What they're doing is they're extending the sides of the piece or the part or the object so that they can dimension it. Okay, what we've got here is a long break line. What this tells us is that this piece is really much longer than what it appears. Notice they're saying this is 1.25 inches. If this were to be if this piece, if they didn't have this break line in here, we would assume then, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There'd be another 1.2, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're telling us that this would only be 3.5 inches. But notice right here, they're saying how big is it? It's 12 inches. What they've done now is they've cut out the middle of this because they're saying the middle of this doesn't change so that they can make the piece bigger. All right. They've cut out probably, let me see, they've cut out about 9 inches. So from here to here, approximately they've cut out 8 to 9 inches of the part so that they can make the whole thing bigger. If they were to make the whole drawing, all 12 inches of it, they'd have to make it something like this. All right, so that you could see the inside of it, or so you could see the whole piece. But they haven't done that. What they've done now is they've cut out, made this cut out from here to here. They've gotten rid of that part of it so that you can see the beginning and the end. A leader line. What we've got here now is a leader line. A leader line is a line that comes down. That there's a great example of a leader line. It goes from a dimension, and it allows us to keep things clean. Typically, leader lines are going to be used when it comes to radius and diameters. Okay, these standards relate to technical drawing, more precise than freehand sketching. Use these standards as a guide when sketching. All right. What they're talking about here is when you're doing a drawing. All right. When we're doing drawing, and for us, this is going to be, when we refer to drawing, we're going to typically refer to CAD. Most of them are done by CAD. But in sketching is something you would do real quickly in your notebook. Now I want to point out that drawings can be done other places than CAD. Some of you, at some point in life, might have a drawing board, a big, huge drawing board where you'll do drawings, and you'll take your time to make nice, neat drawings. That's what we had here in school. When I was here, we didn't have CAD software. But for the most part, in IED, the word drawing is going to refer to CAD. All right, when you're in IED, because we don't have the drawing boards. All right, sketching is going to probably refer to something you're going to put in your notebook. Now, here's what I want you to understand. We can still use these standards when sketching in our notebook because it's still kind of a nice thing. You don't have to be nearly as neat about it. Your guidelines probably aren't going to be straight. Your leader lines may not be perfect. Your dimension lines, all types of things, we're going to have some kind of, we'll allow some allowance and tolerance. But we want to still try to use those same rules. Okay, precedence of lines. Complex object sketches may require different line types to overlap. Line precedence must be used. Rules that govern line precedence in sketches and technical drawings. Meaning, how do I know which type of line to use? Sometimes lines overlap each other. Well, here's our first one. Object lines take precedence over everything. All right. The second one, hidden lines are the next most important. Cutting plane lines take precedence over all others. All right, so if you have a choice between putting down an object line, a hidden line, or a dimension line, you put down an object line because it is the most important. If you have the choice between putting down a dimension line or a hidden line, you put down the hidden line, and so forth. Here's examples of this. All right. Right here, and some of this might be a little hard for you to tell, but here, object lines have precedence over hidden lines. If this was solid across the top, then this little cutout wouldn't be there. So when you looked at it from the top, what you would have are hidden lines. And you'd want to make it look like this. But because that cutout is there, we don't want those hidden lines, and what we want to show then are the object lines. All right. Down here, object line has precedence over a center line. So again, we've got a center line right here. Here's the center of that circle. So idealistically, we'd want to have this a center line here, but we have this cutout. That's an object line. So what we want here then is the object line. Now they've extended it because behind the object line is still a center line. So they're showing that's the center, but they have that being an object line as opposed to a dash in the middle. Well, hey, hopefully you're able to learn a few things there about these line conventions, and you can take that with you as you start to make your sketches and your drawings neater and better. I'll catch you on the flip side.